Okay, so we are live. It is Wednesday night. We're 1 hour later than our usual time. It's 10 o'clock Eastern time. So we're in Montreal, if you guys don't know already. It's Heather Boyd Wire here, and every week I do a live stream troubleshooting new ideas for wire art and jewelry. So I'm going to pull up the video now, the live stream, and so I could follow on the computer and check out your comments as you guys are hopping on. And Peggy's on already. Awesome, Peggy. Thanks so much for hopping on an hour later than usual. I'm not quite sure what time zone everybody's going to be in, but I was downtown and just got home. I'm part of a creator community called, hey Fern, how are you? I'm part of a creator community called Creator HQ, and it's a Montreal community. Oh, it's 7 o'clock there. Oh, you guys, you're lucky. It's early there. Yeah, so I have a bunch of people in the community that are content creators, YouTubers, Instagrammers, and all kinds of things, and we support each other and do workshops and network together to get all kinds of inspiration. So Janine is here. Hey Janine, how are you? I can see your comments too coming up on the on my laptop. So Fern says it's 10 o'clock there, so same as here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and flip the screen. So there we go. We didn't have a live because I was posting my 12 days of astrology or zodiac jewelry. So I don't know how many of you guys were able to do some of those zodiac signs, but that was a lot of fun doing that challenge. And so, and actually, I'm going to do some more zodiac pendants. I did a whole bunch of YouTube videos with the zodiac pendants, but I have had an idea to do some to add some beads. So, as you guys know, I was approached by Beaducation, and they wanted me to do some videos with some of their products. So they very graciously sent me a starter metal stamping kit, and it's really awesome because I've always wanted to do metal stamping, and I never got around materials. And actually, the only thing I ever bought that I might be able to use for this project is I had bought these mini punches at the dollar store, and I thought I could maybe use them to punch holes in the metal because they're actually sending me a hole punch, but I haven't received it yet. So I'm going to see what I could do with what they sent with the basic kit. And then the idea is I will come up with some projects that incorporates the wire with the metal, which is really cool. So here's just like the little starter kit pamphlet that came with it. What I'm going to do is in the description below today's video, I'll put a link to their website. It's beaducation.com /stamping, and there's all kinds of free videos and tutorials on that on their website, which is amazing. So you guys can already get started with doing some metal stamping just with their videos. So what I'm going to try to do is come up with some different ideas that aren't quite what they're doing already. So, but what I thought I'd do to get started is I'm going to try a project that they already did in one of their tutorials, but I thought it was really interesting. And I have this wire, which I had a whole spool of round wire that I actually flattened in my rolling mill, and I thought it might be interesting to try to do something with that. So what I'm going to do is just cut a piece of that. Now, I'm not quite sure was originally. I believe it was about a 1.6 millimeter. And then when I actually, it's probably more than that because this is quite wide. I'm thinking it must have been a 2 millimeter round wire that I flattened in the rolling mill, and it has still a decent thickness. So I thought what I'd do to start is just try to imprint something on this piece. I hope this isn't going to be too loud for you guys when I start hammering. I'm not going to do a whole lot of hammering, but I will have to do a little bit. So this is the steel block that comes with the starter kit. So here's the, it's a steel bench block, and I actually already had one of these because I did do some jewelry making. I took a class before and I had one of these and a hammer, but I'm going to use this hammer because it's got a little more of a rounded edge. This is just a regular house hammer, I think, that I had here. And it's a little textured, so any hammering I'm going to do with this is going to have some texture. And that's actually why I really like the rolling mill, so because it makes a really flat texture. And Janine says this is going to be a fabulous collab. Yeah, I thought so too, Janine. So tonight is really about just troubleshooting to see how things are, just so I can get used to using these materials. Because I've never used them before. And then I'm going to do a couple of finished videos with projects that combine wire and the metals. So here's just a little, I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is like a metal stamp. It seems to have like a little butterfly on it. And I'm just going to see if it's even going to stamp in this metal, because I'm not sure it's going to work. Because this is sort of a random aluminum metal that I had that I already flattened. So plug your ears, guys. I'm going to give you a little trigger warning when I'm going to hammer, because I don't know how loud it's going to be. But the idea is you do one kind of fell swoop with this, and you can see it. It's going to be hard to see in this light, but you can see it does make a bit of a pattern. So let me go ahead and do. I'm going to actually stop that one for now. So this is with the wire that I've flattened already. And then I have these other wires that I just bought. I think I bought them on Etsy. And they look quite thick. I'm gonna say they're about a 2 millimeter thickness, or maybe a 1.6 millimeter thickness. So how they did it on the Beaducation site, and you could go onto their site and see how they did it. What they did was they cut a piece of wire, and you want to imagine that it's going to go around your fingers. So I really have no clue how long it has to be. I think this is going to be something that you're going to have to experiment with. But what they did was they took one long piece and they hammered it. But what I thought I would try, just to put a little bit of a spin on the project, was just to cut it, and then I'm going to twist one end. On the one they did in their tutorial, they just had it completely flat. But I'm going to see what happens if we twist one end like that, just out of curiosity. Now I'm going to hammer it, and if it's too loud, just turn off your sound. I'm going to give you guys a little warning every time I hammer. So, and then the other thing is my table, I don't know how stable it is, so I might have to have a more stable table for this to work, but let's just give it a try. So plug your ears. It's not too bad. So, and like I said, the hammer I have is a little bit too textured. So I'm going to just go lightly with this. And don't hit your thumb like I just hit my fingers. So I'm going to just go along like this. And you can whack it even harder. I'm just going to do it a certain amount for now. And then the end, you can even do a little bit flatter, which is what they did. They did this end a little bit flatter. You guys are probably seasick because I've jiggled the table a little bit. And then the idea would be you can get a file, just a little file. Ouch, yeah. Yeah, that's when you're making jewelry and you're not paying too much attention. It can happen. But then the idea is you just get a little file and file the end so it's soft. Now I'm noticing the trouble with this is actually a plated wire. So if you're using a plated wire, you might see the metal underneath coming through. But this is just to give you guys a little bit of idea of how it might work. And then what they did in the tutorial was they got one of these stamps. I'm going to take this one that's more of a narrow design. It's a leaf. And then what they did was they just put it on the flat part of the wire and just give it a big tap. I think even a single tap is better. Like I think this wire needs to be a little bit flatter. Watch your ears. And like I said, I'm not going to do the full tutorial because they have it on their website. And what I'll do is I will link this one below my video to show you how to do the ring. So, and then the idea is you could print a continuous amount of leaves in there. It's a little hard to see. And then what they do is so you can see the color is you just do it with Sharpie. You could actually use ink if you wanted to, but they use Sharpie. I've done this type of thing with in art classes for kids and actually use ink, Indian ink, to do embossing. So you put the color on there, and then I'm just going to use the box so I don't get it on the block, and then you just rub it with this. You rub it with this cloth. Okay, and then like I said, you can use the ink if you want, like Indian ink. And the idea is it actually goes, it's hard to see, but it goes into there, so it makes like kind of a patina look. And then what you would do is just, once you've got the flattened shape, then you're going to push it around the ring form like this. Okay. And this is super rough, guys. This is just to give you an idea of how it's going to work. And so then the idea would be you can do a pattern all the way around, and then it would just make like a kind of a flattened ring like that. So that's one idea. I'm going to, and like I said, this is just really rough, so I'm going to link up that video of how to do that. And then the other thing I'm going to have a look at is they sent me some little pieces. I just have to find where I put them. Well, these are the bigger metal pieces. So I'm just going to look over on my, I have to find where I put them. That's the trouble, is I'm not sure where I put all my pieces. The other thing I was thinking was to use some of this metal, which is embossing metal that you can get at the art stores. So this is sort of a medium weight, and I'm just going to compare it to what they sent me. They sent me these pieces like this, but I'm not sure I have the right tool to cut these. So we're going to just see. This is just another kind of metal sheet, and I think this is, yeah, this is just one piece. So I would need like a thicker cutter to do that one. I just have to find the metal pieces that they gave me. And of course, I can't find them now that I need them. So let me just look. Okay, they're probably in my box. Here they are. Yeah, so here we go. So here's some metal pieces that, okay, to show you guys. And I'm going to see if I could actually punch a hole in it. And if I can't punch a hole in it, I'm going to, when they send me the cutters, I'm going to do that. Because I had a little idea to do like a kind of a tree thing. So here is just like a little flower shape. And then I'm going to see if it works to use one of these mini punches. Now, if you guys have ever done this kind of metal stamping, just please let me know in the comments. And I know that one of the members of the group on Facebook has posted some really nice things of what she did. So so you could definitely go in the Facebook group and see some nice metal stamping. And I'm going to link up all the tutorials on the Beaducation site as well. So this is just like a hole punch thing. And I used to have a drill in, oh, use a drill. Yes, definitely can use a drill. That's a good idea. And I'm just going to see if this is going to work. So we're just going to go like this. I'm going to put it here. And cover your ears again, guys. So we're going to just go like this. And if this doesn't work, well, it looks like it's going through a little bit. It might go through. Let's just see. Because if it doesn't work, I'm going to actually, oh, look at that. It did work. So it went right through like that. So what I was thinking could be cool is to try to make like a little tree. I'm not going to put more than one hole because I think it's going to be too fragile if I put more than one hole. But I was thinking I could, once I get the cutters for this piece, I could cut like sort of a tree-shaped piece out of that. And this is just very random. Like, I'm not sure how well it's going to work, but the idea I had was to do something like this and then to put some leaf shapes in it. So this is actually like an embossing leaf shape. So let's just see if this is going to work. we're going to put it on here, and I'm really just still learning the techniques. So the videos I put up, the one I put on the weekend will be a much more finished video with a finished project. So let's just cover your ears again. Okay, so we've got, I have a feeling you're only supposed to bang it once. So let's try this again. And I think it's going to be better to be on a more like stable table, like I said. So let's just do another one. Yeah, I think I'm just going to do single taps of the hammer, because if you do double taps, it can distort the shape. So we'll just do like some single taps of the hammer, and let's just put these in different kind of configurations and different directions, so it kind of looks tree-like. I don't know how many we're going to need. And I also had another idea to try to do like make something out of wire and emboss it in. So I'm going to try that as well. But for now, let's just try to do a bunch of leaves on here and see what happens. And please, if you're just hopping on now, please cover your ears when I'm banging, because I'm sure it's really loud on your end, and I don't want to hurt your guys' ears, but I want to try to do as many little shapes as I can. So these are like really random. Probably you need like a lot more practice to get the positions right. I don't want to overdo it either. So let's just start like that. This is sort of the idea, to put like just little shapes of the leaves. I'm going to just bring it up to my eyes so I can see how it looks. It's not too bad. And then the idea is you rub it with the Sharpie. So let me get the Sharpie again. I hope I have the right Sharpie here. I have my own Sharpie, and they sent me a Sharpie as well. So let me try this Sharpie and see how it goes. So we're just, this is to do the sort of, they call it a patina effect, which is when you draw with the ink inside the shapes like that. And like I said, we used to do this when I was teaching kids art class. We would do embossing. So we would impress different designs in metal, like in embossing foil, and then you would cover the whole thing with Indian ink, or like here you could do Sharpie. And then the idea is you get the ink in the crevices, and then what you want to do is wipe off the extra with the cloth. So there's that, like that. And then I just have to find where I put the cloth. And of course I've always misplaced things. So we're going to get this little embossing cloth like this. It's like a polishing cloth. And then the idea is you would want to hold this in shape in place and just rub off the extra. But I'm going to have to take it off because it's going to go all over the place. So the idea is you just rub it like that off the surface and get it. And this actually might work better with Indian ink, but I think for now we're going to try it like how they said with the Sharpie and see how it looks. And it's sort of working, but like I said, I'm still experimenting with this to see how it's going. I'm not quite sure what this plastic is. Ooh, you know what? I think there was plastic on this metal that I didn't even notice there was. Oops, guys. Okay, so this is mistake number one. I think there was a plastic coating on this metal, but I'm just trying to figure out. Yeah, I think there was, but I think it's come off now. So let's just see. We'll just wipe it off and see. It's kind of cool, actually. Making a bit of a mess here. I'm gonna put more Sharpie on because I think there was a plastic coating on there that I didn't take off. So let's try this again. Hopefully I get all that off. But I wish you guys could see it up close, because if you could see it up close, you would see that there's some very delicate shapes of the leaf in there. So we're just gonna do this again. We'll just let it dry for a second. Let me clean off this area a little bit. And yeah, I kind of had this vision of doing a kind of a tree thing. So hopefully it's going to work. And then we're going to just go like this. And in the meantime, between now and doing my next video, I'm going to experiment with using Indian ink instead of Sharpie. and see if it works any better. It actually might go into the crevices a little bit better, but for now, we'll just do this to see how it goes. And as always, I'll take photos of these projects and put them in the wire art group so you guys can see it better, but I don't know if you can see this. Let me know if you can see the little patterns printed in there. And then what I want to do is I'm actually going to get some wire, and I think I'm going to get maybe some gold color. I was going to use copper, but I think it's a little bit thick. So I'm going to get some of this gold colored wire, and I want to try to do a kind of a tree thing. So this is going to be super experimental, and because the idea is to try to develop some projects where we combine the wire with the metal. So what I'm going to do is just cut a few pieces of this wire. Maybe I'll just start with 3 for now and do a tree. I know a lot of people online do make the wire trees, and yeah, so we're going to, you can definitely check tutorials for wire trees online. I think, sorry you guys are having like a little discussion here, and I'm missing all kinds of comments. I'm so sorry about that. Lovely design. Okay, I'm gonna go back a little bit and see what we say. I have to go to the store for some cold medicine for my daughter. Oh, Peggy, I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, this is the season, eh? There's a lot of people that are sick. I hope she's feeling better soon. I was just saying to my daughter that I'm not planning on getting sick this winter, and I'm doing my best to take my vitamins and zinc pills and echinacea and all that kind of thing, because certainly with the nasty weather in Montreal, it's very easy to catch a cold. So here I'm going to just fold these little wires. This is going to form the roots of the trees. I actually haven't done a tree in a long, long time. So I know a lot of people just take them and kind of wind them together. I'm going to see how that's going to work like that. And otherwise, I have a way that I kind of, how do I do it? Like fold them again together. Let me try that way to show you guys how I do it. So what I usually do is I'll put like the 2 ends together. Hopefully you can see this very well to make the tree. I'll just make a super simple tree with 3 wires. So I've got 3 wires. I folded each one in half, and I'm going to take these ones here, and I'm just going to twist them together. These 2 inner wires, I'll just twist them together a couple of times, and then we get the 3rd one and put it adjacent to the other 2. Split it open, and then you want to attach these 2 sets of wires. So we're going to take these 2 and twist them around a couple of times. 1, 2, 3. And then it's sort of semi like braiding, because what we want to do now is twist these ones together. 2, 3, and then the outer ones together. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm doing, but basically I'm kind of weaving these together in a way that they kind of hold together without doing this the traditional way where people just twist all of the wires together. And then now I'm going to go back to the other 2. I guess in a way it's a little bit like macrame. I don't know if you guys do macrame, but it's a little bit like that. So we're going to just go around like that. And then what we have is we have these wires are starting to come together. So we have it like that. You can see it. Oh, that's great. And then we're going to split these bottoms. So this is going to be like a kind of a, if you split the bottoms, it becomes a bit like a the root. And then we're going to bring all these wires up together, so they're up like that. And then let's see how we can attach, because we don't want it too big, or this is going to be not proportionate. So I think what I want to do now is I'll take these 2, or let's put it through one of the holes like that. We're going to put it in the hole at the bottom. And this is where I might have wanted to make more holes, because it might have been a little more secure. So, and like I said, this is just really rough. It's based on an idea that I had, and I'm not sure it's going to actually work. So I put 1 wire through the front, and then we're going to put 1 wire through the back. And this is just to hold this tree in place. And I think if I was going to do this one again, I would actually make this quite a bit bigger. I would make the metal piece bigger and then figure out a way to put more holes in it. So I've just bent this one in and that one in like that. And I think what I can do with those is I could probably cut them off. So that's in there. And then these ones, I'm not even sure like if I would just put them on the front like this. Oh, Evelyn. Okay, Evelyn's on. That's great. Oh, you've got a code name. So there we go, GMA. I have to remember that, guys. It's hard to remember. A lot of people don't use their own names on YouTube, so it's going to be tricky for me to remember everyone's name. So let's see if this is going to work. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bend these in place. And I had done a sketch for this one, but I wasn't 100% sure like how the whole thing was going to work. But it's just in doing these that I come up with the ideas. And I'm now realizing that I probably would need more holes to hold this piece in shape, like probably at least a hole at the top. So let's poke another hole at the top. So at least we have one more hole to work with. So guys, if you want to plug your ears just for a second while I hammer another hole in this, because it's going to be a little bit noisy. So we'll just do another hole here. Okay, and hopefully that'll work. Yeah, it did a hole, so that's perfect. And I am getting a hole punch, but just temporarily I'm using this hole puncher from the dollar store. So now we have a hole at the top to keep it a little more secure. And then what I'm going to do now is, let me just figure out the best thing to do. Yeah, I could poke more holes in there, but I think I'm just going to do this one for now. We're going to push that one in up that way. And then it makes it a little more stable. And then this one, I'm going to do one to the back and push it through that way. Hopefully it's big enough to go through. Yeah, so that we're going to put it through that way. So we have one through the back and one through the front. Okay, I learned so much watching your creative process. Oh, I'm so happy because it doesn't always work, but it's really fun to try anyways. And ultimately it does contribute to the final design. So I put these two wires through. So what I want to do now is just like we want to get rid of one of the ends. We're just going to twist it 100% around and cut it. And then we want to make like a loop at the top to hang it onto a pendant. So I would get my round pliers and always wanted to make a tree. Okay, so this is a very different kind of way to make a tree. It's one of the ideas I had to combine the metal stamping with the wire. And I think there's a lot of potential, but this, like I said, you guys are on the ground floor of this design because I'm just working out the design right now. I had done a sketch for it, but I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to do it. So now I still have a couple of wires, and I find this wire in the middle a little bit funny. So what I'm going to do is actually take this wire, I'm going to lift that up a bit, and put it through here, and then make it look a little bit kind of like branches in the middle. So I think what I'll end up doing is I might end up using a thinner wire. This is a 20 gauge wire, and using more wires, but like more quantity of wires, but thinner wires. And I think it's going to give it more of an impression of looking like a tree. So what I'll do is, just to make it a little bit asymmetrical, is I'm going to bring one of the wires to here and bend it to the back, and then one of the wires up here and bend it to the back. And I think what I probably would do is I would end up doing more holes, so I could kind of put them in and out a little bit. So I think just to keep it simple, I'm just going to do it like this for now. I'm going to clip the ends at the back just to get them out of the way. Okay, and then just kind of fold them underneath there so they're not sticking up. And then to make it look more interesting, we could actually, I would push these in a little bit just so it's not so fat. You want a little more proportion. It almost looks more like a flower. So I think what I would do is actually cut that shape myself. And I'm just going to bend this back and forth to make it a little more interesting. And then these, I'm going to bend them to look kind of like more like roots. And I think next time I would probably, like I said, I would probably do more wires, but use thinner wires, and then have more branches or poke more holes into this. And I could probably, like, just to show you for an example, this, I'm going to leave that like that, but just, I will get some, I'm just going to get my scissors. This is embossing foil that you can actually buy at a art store. Clarice is here. Hey, Clarice, how are you? We're just experimenting with doing some trees. And so this is, the metal I use for this tree is the metal from the Beaducation kit. It actually is more like a flower, but I'm just using it as a stylized top of the tree, and I pressed like little leaf patterns in it. But the other thing I was thinking is you could get a kind of a foil and just maybe cut your own tree shape. But the only thing with this is you need a foil that's somewhere in between the two sizes, because this is too thin and this is kind of too thick to cut. So I just, while we're here, I'm going to experiment with actually imprinting a design into this foil. And this is the foil, this foil here is the foil that I use with kids when I do craft workshops. So I thought, let's just give it a shot and see how the leaf looks in there. And when you do embossing with this kind of thinner foil, you definitely need to pat it out. So what we used to do is we used to put stacks of newsprint, and then we would put the foil on the newsprint, and then when we embossed it, you would see a pattern going through. Like, just to give you an idea, on a scrap piece, you would just take, when I do craft workshops with kids, you just take the foil and you draw, like you can draw shapes in it, okay? Just like different shapes like that, like that. And then just to show you how it works, like what we did with the Sharpie, you actually can draw on it. Of course, now I've lost both Sharpies. Okay, I thought I lost one Sharpie, and now I think I've lost both of them. Let me just see if I can find it. Oh, here we go. So here's my Sharpie. So what you would do if you're embossing like in that way, you would just like take your Sharpie, and the idea is you want to get color in the parts that are pressed in, and then you can get your cloth, like this is the cloth that they gave me with the kit, and then you just rub it. If you just rub it like that, you'll see the pattern. You just rub it on the surface, and then the black goes into those shapes like that. So let's try it. If we want to do it on with the metal stamps, we're just going to put it on a few layers of cardstock or newsprint, and then we're going to hold this on here, and we're just going to give it some taps. So just watch your ears while I do this. We just do a few taps like this, and then I thought it would be really cool to just like do this like the tree, you know, with the leaves on the trees, and it works quite well with this thinner embossing wire. And it might actually be an idea if you did something like this, and there must, like, it even stiffens up a little bit when you do that. I don't know if you guys can see, so we've got the heart shapes, I mean the leaf shapes, but I'm thinking there must be a way to do this, like, because even if you did this, and then what might be interesting is, even if it's a thin wire, what you could do is let me get a bigger wire just to show you where my head's going with this design. So what you could do is, even if it's thin, it's okay as long as it's surrounded by a kind of a frame thing. So maybe what I would do is I would make a circle just out of a thicker wire, like this could be, I don't know, like a 16 or 18 gauge wire. But you would need to do quite a big circle, I think. Like, or I can cut this smaller. But I think the idea where I'm going with this is just you do a big frame, or it could be, actually, it could almost be an oval shape, or even you know what, I think I'm going to do a rectangular shape. I think it's going to be better, because you want it to be taller than wider. So let's see what would happen if we did this. So we're just going to make a kind of a frame, and if we just bend it like this, okay, I'm just going to do it kind of free form. And then this one, I will cut it a little smaller, but the idea is you want it like maybe about that wide. Okay. And I do also want to show you guys before we finish how they do their words, their lettering on the metal pieces. I thought it was really interesting how they get it to do them straight. And then I'm going to link up some interesting videos from the Beaducation website below this video. So this is the idea. You make like a little frame, and then we're just going to close the frame a little bit like that. Okay, keep it very simple. And then you always need like a little loop at the top of the frame to hang it, like to put a jump ring, to hang it on a necklace or what have you. Do this very quickly. Okay, so now that you have a frame to work with, then you could build up your shape in the frame. So the idea would be like if you want to have like a little tree, so even if this metal is quite thin, the advantage, of course, is you can cut it with scissors. So let's just kind of go ahead and cut a little shape. And then if it's in the frame, it should be no problem that it's a little flimsy, because that way at least the frame gives it some support. So this is the idea, is you could have your little pattern of the tree. It's still a little bit big, so we're just gonna like really pare it down a bit. And then if you wanted to, you can add some more little shapes in here. Is this a leaf? Yeah, so there's a leaf. So let's add a few more just to see. Watch your ears, guys. I'm going to tap it again. Okay, just a few more, and they could even go right off of the foil a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to really do them randomly. Okay, so these are the leaves in there. And then if you want to get some of the color in there, and a green Sharpie. Green Sharpie's a great idea. And actually, when I do the workshops with kids, often we'll use the colored Sharpies when we're embossing, because kids love color. So definitely, yeah, green Sharpie could be a good idea. Sharpies come in a lot of really nice colors now. So I've just kind of quickly done the Sharpie again. And then we're going to go, if you don't have this kind of cloth, you can use a cotton cloth, would be fine. But this is the cloth that they give with the kit, and it seems to work really well. It kind of polishes and embosses at the same time. So we're just going to push it a little bit more. And like I said, this is the very first time I'm using this kit, so I have a lot of learning to do, but I'm getting sort of the general idea. Ooh, it really makes a nice pattern in the paper too. I don't know if you guys can see that. It almost looks like spray paint or something. That's super cool. So if we have this kind of basic shape here, and then the idea would be you can do this type of design and put this in in a tree in the frame like that. So I don't know if I have any thinner wire here. Let me just see what I have. I do actually. I have a 24 gauge wire, which is really cool. So let's try that. So if we take the 24 gauge wire, and I cut a few pieces that they look like they're about 8 inches long. So let me cut a few pieces like this. And then what you could do, if it's in the frame, is actually fix it to the frame before we start attaching it to the tree. So let's go ahead and then take these thin pieces of wire, and let's go ahead and attach them into the base of the tree here. So we're just going to go around and around. So we're just going to do a complete turn. So the idea is we want to just, I don't know if you see, I've just twist the wire here. So let's just start with 3. You could do 5, 5 pieces of wire. I always like to do an uneven number of wires. I guess you could do 4 as well, but I like the idea of doing 3 or 5. So let's just go ahead and we're just going to wind these 3 wires in there. Okay, like that. So we have, it looks like hair or something. So we've got them attached to the bottom of the frame. And then now the idea is we can just start down here and then we can always flip it around after if it's easier to work it this way. And then the idea is, so we have your first 2 wires, so let's just separate them. Okay, we're going to separate them like that. I actually have a tutorial for how to make this tree in my wire art course. I can link that up below as well. It might have a little clear explanation of how to do this, but the idea is you want to, this is the first set and the second set. So what you want to do is attach one of the wires from the first set to one of the wires in the second set, and you just twist it around a couple of times, okay? Like that, and then the same thing with the next 2 wires. You're going to do the same thing, just twist them around like that. And then you're kind of doing a kind of a macrame thing. So we're just going to alternately twist the wires together. And what it does is it just kind of makes a nice kind of solid tree trunk. So we're just going to do this. It's almost like weaving them together, but more like kind of twisting them together. And I like that it's made with a little thinner wire. It's going to make it a little more delicate, and it's going to fit better with the embossed metal. Now you can make these twists tighter together, or you can keep them loosely apart. However, it just depends on what kind of aesthetic you're going for. And then once you think you've done it a few times, you can kind of squish them together to pinch it together, and then just see how high you are up here. So it looks like it's pretty good. I don't know if you could see, but it's looking like a little bit of a tree here. And then if you want to maybe attach some more together, if you don't feel like the tree is tall enough, you could attach them a little bit more together in here. And then what we're going to do, because you want to now start attaching it to this, which is the kind of the leaves of the trees, I think what I would do first is just adjust the bottom. My legs are falling asleep. You guys can't see, but I'm actually sitting on my feet and they just fell asleep. Ouch. So we're going to go like this. We're going to just kind of spread these at the bottom, and that becomes a kind of a trunk thing. And then because we're not using the thicker metal, I think we could just poke holes in this with a pin, but I'm not sure I brought a pin downstairs. So let me see if I can poke a hole with something else in this metal, because maybe what I could do is just use the ends of my pliers here, because I didn't bring down a pin. I should have brought a safety pin or something. But what I'm going to do is just go ahead and use these to poke some holes. Ginny says, I'm always amazed at what you can do. Oh, thank you so much. You guys are my cheerleaders, because it's really, sometimes it's very hit and miss about how it's going to work, and like sometimes I don't have the right tools. So let's see if I can just poke a hole with my cutters here. I'm not sure that I can. And do I have a pin? Let me think. Or maybe this here. Let me try the end of the file. Maybe that's going to work better. Let's try the end of the file. And I don't want to tear it either. Oh, there we go. The end of the file might work. So if I just want to poke a few holes, and I'm going to try not to tear this metal, but I think you could probably use a pin and you would probably be fine with it. So I'm just going to poke, and maybe a couple random ones in the middle of the tree. Let's just poke a bunch of holes in there and see what's going to happen. So I poked some holes in the metal, and then what I want to do is just go ahead and start putting these little branches in the holes. So let's see what we're going to do. We're going to put some branches in the holes of the metal. Okay, it does go in, so that's good. Yeah, that's the fun thing about this embossing metal. It's very lightweight, so you can get away with this. And then we're going to maybe go in behind and bring some of the wires in from behind and some in from the front. So we're just almost sewing it in place. I have to bring it, oh no, I thought I'd have to bring it off the screen to see it, but I'm not too bad. So then that's the idea. So we're going to weave some of these wires into the tree. So we're going to put some in like this. And you can put in as many holes as you want because especially with this thinner embossing wire, I'm going to check if they sell this on the Beaducation site. And if not, you can just get this wire in any art store, really. And they have the thicker pieces of metal. And I just have to find out how they actually cut their thicker pieces of metal. So what we're going to do is, and I'm thinking you could even kind of crunch this embossing metal a little bit too to make it even more textured. Right now I just have the texture of the leaves in there. And so like I randomly poked a hole in the middle of the embossing foil. So let's just see if we can get one of these wires back through to the front. So we poke some in to the front and some in through the back. So I just have to, sorry, I have to bring it up closer to me because I can't see where I poked the hole. Here it is. So I don't know if any of you are like me that your eyesight deteriorates with age, but it's all good. We're going to figure it out. So yeah, so then you could kind of even pull some of these wires through, so it looks like, it almost looks like the branches are coming up to the front as well. And then to finish them off, you can just secure it by winding it up to the top like that a little bit too, or maybe with some winding it up to the side. I think the idea is you just really kind of want to sew it into shape. And like this, I might want to put some more, holes into the metal to hold it in shape. And then you want to just start getting rid of some of these ends a little bit, because as you see at the back, I have quite a few ends. So I'm just going to start winding them around the frame to get rid of them, to get rid of the ends. And then just always make sure that you push in the little pokey ends a bit if they're showing. And then if I wanted, like, I feel like I need another little hole here, so you can always get your pliers. I don't want to break it though, so I think it's going to be better if I just put it down, because I don't want to rip the foil, but you do want to put a decent hole in it. So we're just going to put that through the hole. And the metal is pretty forgiving. Like you could kind of press it down, like kind of squeeze it in together, almost like sculpting it. So we're going to put that one in here and just bring this end a little bit. But I'm definitely going to try to do this with the thicker metal from the company to see if I can do it in a way that I can cut a decent shape out of it. So, and then after that, you can just go ahead and bring these wires and just bend them around the side, or even just cut them really short. If you say you have an end here that you could just bend back onto itself, you could just cut it at the back too, as long as you slip it under one of the under something at the back so it's not really shows. So here's a really, really rough tree. And then if you want to fix it up a little bit to make it a little more, to give it a little bit more movement. Oh, I think there's a bit, I think I might be missing some comments here, but anyways, I think there's a bit of a delay when you guys comment, so I'm gonna do what I can to actually see all those comments. And then now you can get your your bigger pliers and just give it a little kind of like wind it back and forth a bit, just to give it a little bit of a movement there. And then if you want to give it a little texture, I bet you could even just like go ahead with these and give it a little bit of texture, and then poke in, push in all the little pokey ends. So this is a very, very rough, you know, tree with the embossed metal. I think it's kind of interesting. I think I'm on the right track. This is with a thicker wire. And then very quickly, I'm going to show you guys how to do the, if you want to write a name on, or a name or a word on one of these little tags. And so how they showed in the tutorials is they actually have a tape that comes with the kit. So you're going to cut some tape. I'm just going to cut a little piece here. Have to find the end. And all of this stuff comes in the starter kit. So it's really interesting, you know, what you can do with basic kit. And then they have all kinds of other stamps that you can get to just to do other designs. So the idea to do the stamping of the words is you would just get the tape and just put it straight across, and you want to fix it to the barrier there, like the little block. And then these are the letters that came with the kit. And so if you want to do like a really simple word, I'm going to just see what I have here. Maybe I'll just do the word joy, but I have to get these out without them falling all over the place. There's the O and the Y, and I just need the J. Oh, the J fell out. How perfect is that? And then what I think you need to do is, because sometimes, you know, when you're writing on a piece of paper and you run out of room. So I think it's better to actually start with the middle letter. And then if you just put the middle letter like here, and then the idea, I think you just kind of push it down until it hits the tape there. And you hold it in place, and then you have to give it one big bang with the oh, and Spider Collectors on says, good evening. Hey, how are you? So guys, plug your ears because I'm going to give this a bit of a tap. Okay. So we have the O. That worked pretty good, considering it's the first time I've done lettering. And then you want to put the J. So then you want to place it. And this is probably going to take practice to get everything in the right position. So we're going to put the J and line it up above the tape there. Give it a big tap. Okay. And the idea is to really do one single tap, or it's going to get all distorted. So then we want to put the Y, and we want to line it up so it's more or less even. And then same thing, give it a one big tap. Plug your ears. Okay, so that's pretty good, like for a first time doing this. And then maybe we want to put a little design up there. So let's just see what we have now for our designs. Oh, that's cool. There's a little doggy paw. We could try the little doggy paw and see how it goes. So let's put a little doggy paw here. We will do two little doggy paws. So same thing, you just have to do one big bang, plug your ears. Okay, and then another one here. We're going to, actually, maybe I'll do it a little lower because I might dangle something else down from here. Going to put another 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we have our little doggy paws there. And I think I'm going to keep this one simple for now. So it's just like that. And then let's see if we can do our Sharpie again. Okay, we're going to bring this here. You might have to adjust the how hard you hit the hammer. Like I think I might not have hit it hard enough for this, but that's going to definitely take experimenting. So we're just going to, and then you want to get this in. And like I said, I'm going to also try this with Indian ink to see if it makes a difference with how, like if I use a liquid ink, to see if it makes a difference on how it adheres to the metal. So there we go. So we're going to just color it with the Sharpie. Okay, for instance, I'll pretend they're cat paws. There you go. You could totally do that. And I would pretend they're bunny paws. I'm not quite sure what bunny paws look like, but let's see what we can do about that. So now I need the embossing cloth again. And of course I've dropped it again. You guys know I'm like the messiest worker. Oh, here we go. So here it is. So then the idea is you're going to just rub it. I think it might be easier if I actually lift it up. So we're just going to rub this on the surface, and then This embossing cloth also makes it shiny. Clarice gave me lots of emojis. That's awesome. Where do you find those emojis, Clarice? I always have such trouble finding decent emojis. Okay, so we're going to do this. We're just going to rub it and see what we can do about that. I think it's definitely going to take some practice, but that's the idea. So we've got, it says joy, and it's got the little rings. So what comes with the kit, they have these little jump rings that come with the kit. So I'm going to just take the jump ring and open. It would be really cute to maybe dangle a little bead with it too. So what I would do is just take the jump ring and do this. And then I can look in my beads and maybe put, like, say this was sort of a dedication to your little doggy or something. You can take a little bead that's maybe kind of like the birthstone or something. I'm not sure what sort of thing you would want to do, but here's just like a cute little bead that you could do. You could even do 2 beads if you wanted to, but we can just try maybe to do a couple of beads and see how it looks. There's a hematite one. Oh, here, you know, I love, you guys know me, I love these miracle beads. So I don't have any head pins with me, but normally I would use probably use a head pin to attach it to the pendant, because I like head pins because they make a nice finished end. Like there's no like, you don't have to do a little loop at the end of the bead. So what I will do, because I don't have the head pin, is just take some wire and do a little loop around like that. Okay, so that just makes like a little loop. Remove some of this stuff, and then we'll put the bead on. Okay. So we've got like the bead, one bead on like that. So then what we can do is cut it. I usually cut them to about 3/8 of an inch, like that. And then we're going to bend this back and forth. So let's just do a few little beads. So here's one bead. That's like the little purple one. And then, like I said, because I don't have a head pin, I'm just going to do a little loop on the end to hold the bead in place. Otherwise, I would have just stuck it right on the head pin and it wouldn't have come off. And then let's do our little miracle bead, because our pets are our little miracles. There we go. And we're going to cut that off to about 3/8 of an inch. And then bend it back and forth like that. So now what you can do is you take your jump ring. Okay, this comes with the kit. I'm just going to do 2 beads, I think. And then we'll stick our little tag, our little, literally a dog tag. And then we're going to put one little bead on there. And then we're going to put the other little bead on there. And then we'll just close the jump ring. And I can't believe we've been on here for an hour, guys. So here's our cute little pendant for the little dog tag pendant. And then just to show you how it's going to look, I'll just stick it on a wire so we can see how it's going to look. So you can hang that on a little necklace. And maybe what I would have done is I might have put the dog paws a little lower on there just so they would show. Maybe I would put them underneath. In fact, we could still go ahead and let's do that. Let's just get this back here, because the beads kind of cover up. So let's just put that to the end so it won't be affected when I give it that little tap. We have to find our dog paw. Again, that's the leaf. These all kind of look the same. So here we go. So let's just go ahead and do another couple of dog paws and plug your ears while I give it another tap. Okay. Oh, just 2 more taps. So we're going to 1 like that, and then 1 more little. It's nice when you do them on a bit of an angle. So 1 more, guys. There. And so we've got our little paws at the bottom, and you can see the difference, like when there's no, when you don't put the black and when you put the black, but it's really nice when you do put the black. So let's go ahead and put the black Sharpie in again, just because I find it looks much nicer. And like I said, I'm going to try to do this with some liquid ink because it might go in better. As long as your Sharpie is very inky and dark, it should work quite well. So what size stamps are they? They're really tiny, actually. They don't seem to, I'm trying to see if they have a size. They don't have a size, but I will link up below. They're from the starter kit. So I'll link up below the stamps that I've actually used. And but they are quite tiny, these stamps. They're not like a really big size. Okay, so let's just, and then we just rub, and this too, I've never done this before, so I'm still experimenting with that. So here we have, let me just put it back on here so you can see what it looks like. So there we go. So now you can see the paws a little bit better. So as I always do, I'm going to put the projects on the table here, and then I will show you guys what we made. So I'll just get a little white paper. We made 3 things. We made one which is like the little dog tag thing with the word joy, which maybe is the name of the doggy, and then a couple of trees that were kind of like my idea to combine the wire with the embossing. So here we go. So here's the dog tag and the couple of little ideas for trees. So I'm going to take a good photo of this and put it on the community section and in the Wire Art and Jewelry Makers Club. And I am going to switch my camera around so I can say goodbye to you guys. So thank you everybody who stayed on for the full hour. I can't believe we went that long. So it's interesting, eh, Clarice? Yeah, I like the idea of combining the metal stamping with the wire. I think there's a lot of potential with that, so I'm going to keep working on that. So on Saturday, I will post a video of a finished product. If you guys have ideas that you think would be a good idea to try to combine the wire with the metal stamping, please let me know in the comments below this video, or let me know in the Wire Art and Jewelry Makers Club. So if you're not already a member, join the club and share photos of all your wire art and jewelry. And thank you everybody for hopping on the live stream. And next week we'll probably be back at our regular time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll see everybody in the group, and have a lovely rest of the week, and have